Yeah, it's pretty mind-boggling. Patty Krantz asked a good question, saying she's not a Chinese expert, but wasn't Hong Kong independence in the treaty limited to a certain period? Were Hong Kong citizens naive to think that it would be longer than that?
Well, it wasn't independence. It was a high degree of autonomy. It had some of the trappings of a sovereign state, I guess, its own tax system, its own currency, its own government administration. And it was for 50 years. We're coming up to the halfway mark on July 1st. So we didn't even make it halfway. Maybe we were naive to think we could have 50 years, but Deng Xiaoping said that if it went well, it could just keep going on past that. So I think people really were looking to a full 50 years.
I'd like to get back to Next Digital and your own story. You have some great details in the book about your personal role in this, especially as a board member at Next Digital, and some of the personal pressure you felt as things became more heated in Hong Kong. Actually, it was interesting. I thought interesting detail that you had some pressure even before the protests and the crackdown, not being invited on some other boards for which you were very qualified and had been put up because you were on the Next Digital board. So talk to us about that and what that was like and what that told you about where Hong Kong might have been going.
Yeah, well, look, I knew when I joined the Next Digital board that it was not going to go over well among everybody that I associated with. And I was the executive director of the Asia Business Council, which was a pan-Asian group of CEOs and chairmen. Its members from I think 16, 17 different economies, from Saudi Arabia to Indonesia to Mongolia and Japan. So it's a pretty big patch, but it had been founded and was headquartered in Hong Kong and had a strong Hong Kong contingent. And I wouldn't say, most of the business community was super sympathetic or friendly with Jimmy Lai, but I did talk with my board about it, and they were aware that I'd taken this. And, this is 2018. I was an independent non-executive director. So, I knew there might be trouble down the road. I didn't think that 2 years later it was, sort of really going to come to a head. But shortly after I joined, that incident you allude to, someone asked me if I would, if it was okay if you put my name up for a board. And I said, yeah, fine. But full disclosure, you should know I've just joined the Next Digital board. Instantly, I can't do it. It's a mainland company. Forget it. So, I mean, anything to do with Jimmy Lai was basically radioactive and had been for quite some time. There had been an advertising boycott that HSBC and other multinationals took part in for years against Apple Daily. I mean, there were just so many different things, denial of service attacks, hacking, investigations into alleged corruption, because they were determined to. I think at heart the communists really see a very conspiracy-minded world, and they believe that Jimmy Lai was an American agent and he was funneling cash from the CIA or from the U.S., and that was what was prompting all these demonstrations. And I believe that he probably helped fund a lot of the democracy movement. I believe that was him. I don't think there's any evidence that's ever shown otherwise, but part of this is a failure of imagination on the part of the Hong Kong elites to imagine that their own citizens were smart enough, not having gone to Harvard or Oxford or anything, were still smart enough to demonstrate and, kind of outwit the police and the government and be, much more innovative in their tactics. But the Next Digital thing, obviously, after the national security law came in, got a lot heavier. And you mentioned the perp walk through the newsroom. A few months before that, I'd been on my way to have breakfast with Jimmy when I got first a call from his secretary saying he didn't say why, just can't meet you for breakfast. That's a little strange. Look at my email. Jimmy sent me an email. I'm being arrested. Oh, okay. I see why you can't meet me for breakfast. And then that perp walk, and they took it turns out we had a directors meeting, and I was the only director not in jail who was in Hong Kong at that point. So that was a little disconcerting. I continued to do, well, they started after the national security law. Jimmy and I did a series of live things like, live streams. Basically, it wasn't Zoom. It was a live stream, Facebook, I guess. And, we had everybody from Chris Patton to Nathan Sharansky to Cardinal Zen, just a great, really interesting group of people talking about what was going on in Hong Kong. But that ended when his bail was revoked, and in December a year ago, as I said. And among many reasons the prosecutor adduced that he should be in jail was that I had made some anodyne remark about how he was a symbol of Hong Kong resistance, which obviously I think is true factually. But things, have gone from bad to worse. And I don't want to go on and on, except to say that there are still, as far as I know, ongoing investigations into us by somewhere between 2 and 4 Hong Kong government agencies, because they are determined to have the world believe that free press is alive and well in Hong Kong. And the only reason that Next Digital collapsed is because of these lousy directors who just ran the company into the ground. So, that's, I'm waiting to see the report on that, which should have been given to the financial secretary a couple of weeks ago. I don't know, I'm sure they'll slam us, and I'll just be interested to see what they say.